I guess this is more in the realm of culture analysis, but I wanted to take a look back at the whole performative male trend. You remember that thing? If you ask me, I think it's just kind of sad that it became a whole massive meme in the first place, as it just shows how distrustful we are of each other, specifically how distrustful women are of men. Now on that point, I get that there's a very large safety aspect to this distrust, as from a woman's perspective, it's literally impossible to know if a man is willing to harm you or not, but on a societal level, it's hard to say just how individualistic we all are, and by extension, how interested in the betterment of ourselves we are. It's in the average man's self-interest to advocate for male rights at the expense of female ones, hence why men will call out other men who criticize the manosphere or advocate for the advancement of feminist causes in any way, calling them white knights or Captain Save-A-Hos, or at the very worst, they'll call them gay. And it works the other way around as well. It's in the average woman's interest to advocate for feminism and the advancement of more progressive causes because it makes their lives easier. Not necessarily at the expense of male rights and privileges, but on occasion when they go on saying things like this.
I know this might seem a little harsh, but men should have to start in jail and then earn their way to freedom.
My hot take is that men should start life in jail and earn their way out.
Start in jail and have to work his way out.
Absolutely.
I think
love
that's
that idea.
because it's like you need to earn your place out here.
You do.
In my opinion.
You do, and it should be treated as if they're on probation for a while. Like one strike, you're back.
And if you don't, you're called a pick-me for the very fact that the average woman believes that you're acting against your own self-interest. I also feel like a lot of people just outright refuse to hear each other out and try and make sense of the other side's ideas, because in the type of society we live in, we are programmed to not really care about the betterment of our group in its entirety, not to talk of the betterment of society as a whole. We are programmed to be individualistic and only care about ourselves. The world could literally fall to shit and everything burnt down, but a lot of people, so long as they're able to be comfortable, really would not care about it. And when you look at most social issues from this perspective, it starts to make a whole lot of sense, and in a way, it kind of like stops you from dehumanizing other people. While there still is an inexplicable emotional aspect to so many social issues that people feel passionate about in most cases, a lot of the time, people join one side of an issue because it's in their own self-interest to do so. When a woman is calling out the patriarchy for oppressing all women, she's really only advocating for women because she happens to be a woman herself, and thus would benefit from any changes made to challenge the patriarchy. If a man is claiming to be rebelling against a gynocentric society that is against, quote, normie men, including him as a person, it's rational for him to be doing so, since he perceives it's in his best interest to challenge the supposedly gynocentric society. And note that I use the word perceive. The internet really does change how people perceive reality. Now, there's an argument to be made about how people may not do it necessarily out of their own self-interest and more out of believing that being dedicated to their cause is the moral thing to do. Again, it still ties to that idea of acting in your own self-interest, except that you put it into the whole morality realm, I guess. For most non-insane people, it's in their interest to do moral things because it gives them an internal gratification. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but you get what I mean. While I personally will never in my life advocate for the promotion of manosphere logic, even though I am a man, I can see how other men can fall into the red pill hole. They feel affronted by women and the society as a whole because they're at the bottom of the invisible male hierarchy, and their solution to that is to climb the ranks, whether it's through cringely LARPing as a CEO or bone smashing their way to Chad status. While I think there's a deeper psychological element at play in regards to this hypothetical man's worldview and personal feelings, a lot of what he's doing in his eyes are completely rational, and the people who try and course correct him by trying to get him out of the manosphere or espousing feminist ideas towards him are, again, in his eyes, irrational and trying to harm him. They're acting against his interest. He sees them as acting against his interest, and thus why he would resist them. So when you apply this mentality to the waves of men who started sipping matcha and reading feminist literature, you start to see that it's more of a response to how increasingly hard dating is. For many of them, they deemed it rational to put on this whole persona of being pro-feminist or whatever in order to attract a girlfriend. If being a nice guy didn't work, they're just trying something new, and really, who can blame them? Well, I think there is an obvious moral dilemma to putting on this whole facade of feminism when women are suffering all over the world just for the grace of being born women. From their perspective, they're just trying to get by in the world, and if that means LARPing as a male feminist in order to get a girlfriend, it's something they're willing to do. It's just kind of depressing when you think about it, because I think I'm really onto something with this topic, but I don't know. I just need something to upload this week since I didn't upload last week, but if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, comment, drop a like, and yeah, it's been chill, and I'll catch you later.